didn't see you there. Greetings viewers, EricTheCarGuy here, back again with another repair video for you. Yes, a repair video. Behind me, 1993 Acura Vigor. Its problem? Leaking radiator. Well, it happens a lot. Older cars, Hondas, especially with that type that has the plastic tanks that are crimped onto aluminum. It's something I see quite a lot. But just a little FYI, it seems that the updated coolant that Honda came out with somewhere around 2002, 2003, the blue stuff, don't seem to see as many leaking radiators as I did when it was green. Just throwing that out there. I don't know if it's the phosphate mix, what, I'm not real sure. But rather than taking up your time talking about putting a radiator in this Vigor, why don't we just go right ahead and do it? All right, well, cameraman Brian and I talked off camera, haha. And we're just gonna do this one a little bit different than I've done in the past as far as like every single step. Basically, cameraman Brian's gonna be your eyes and he's just gonna follow me around through the process, and well, if we need to stop, we do, but we're gonna try to keep going as much as we can. Obviously, the first thing to do is open the hood, and kind of what I'm gonna be going for here is, just to give you a look at what's leaking, you can see that top seam along there. That's where that plastic tank meets that aluminum core, and that's what's causing our leak. So that's why we're here today. The main thing to watch out for is like electrical connections. There's also one little plastic holder here on the power steering. To give you a better view, this is the plastic tab. You gotta open it up like that. And the power steering line is loose now. Unlike other videos I've done in the past where I remove the cooling fans and everything all as one unit, it's not as easy with this guy. And the reason is because there's some electrical connections and things on the fan shroud itself which make that sort of difficult. So I usually end up taking the fans out inside the vehicle on this, laying them up on top of the engine, swapping the radiator out, and then putting them back in. That's normally how I go about it. But now I'm gonna jack it up so I can get underneath and gain access to those lower fasteners, and also get the radiator draining so that by the time we're done, we can just lift it out and be ready to go. Okay, now that we've established where it's leaking, I'm gonna get this lower cover right here off, and this will give me access to all these other little bits. Somebody has actually installed some new retainers in here. This one seems to be coming out okay. You just have to loosen the screw a little bit and they come out. It's more than one way to do it sometimes. The rest are just 10mm fasteners, which on this car, you know, it seems like it would be easy. In fact, I'm gonna go grab my impact, because with something this old and crusty, you might as well just grab an impact. See, that would have taken me forever and probably bent something if I did it any other way. Sometimes an impact, especially on rusty stuff, is the way to go. I'm gonna keep all my stuff together so that it's easier to undo later. Now, if you'll take a look at the underside of this radiator, you will see more rust than, you know, anything else. I'm a little concerned about that, but there's very little we can do at this point. So, looks like I'm gonna try to undo as little as possible. It looks like somebody has already come in and replaced this radiator, I would say. That transmission line looks like it might have been leaking a little bit. This is the fan switch. I'm gonna say that most of these fasteners are probably going to break if I'm able to do anything with them at all. And I don't care, because I can use new fasteners. No, it's not even grabbing, as I didn't think it would. I'll just try a smaller size, see if that'll work. But then I'm gonna grab vice grips, and I'm just gonna go to town on these. But you know what, maybe a little bit of penetrating oil wouldn't hurt. Yep, no point. That is actually a good thing. Broke it right off. That saves us time. If the rest of them go that well, we aren't gonna have to be here all day, and I like that. This guy. Of course, this guy. I don't know if this guy's gonna happen. Maybe another pair of vice grips, but after that, I'm gonna give up. Nope. We're gonna have to do something different with that guy. We're gonna forget about him for now. Looks like we got some hoses we gotta work around. Really? Try this one instead. That's a little better. Epic rust. Couple more tools. All this because of a rusty clamp that won't come off. There we go. He's loose. I don't want to take these off yet because I don't have my plugs ready, because I'm gonna plug that off while we're doing this. I'm gonna try to be nice one last time. It doesn't want me to be nice to it. Oh, that's progress. Yeah, I'm really glad I didn't have to get violent. And actually, I don't even have to get this one all the way out. It just makes things easier, because this fan just sort of slides down onto this. All right. Fans are all disconnected, hoses are loose. I just need to reach up in here and actually undo a few clips that hold some wiring and everything into place. Honestly, there's no way to show you that other than to point it out before I do it. There is, up in here, there's a connector here for one of the fans that needs to be undone. There's another plastic clip here. There's another connector here for the other cooling fan. There's yet another plastic connection here and another plastic connection here. And all of that is really the reason why I have to do it this way as opposed to the way I normally like to do it, which is just take the fans and everything out as one unit. So as I said, I could barely fit my hand up in here, so I seriously doubt that we're gonna get a camera angle at the same time, but just know that I am just disconnecting these electrical connections and also these mounts for the wiring harness so that I can get all this stuff out of here. Okay, these fan connectors, I use these hose pliers to reach up in here and get to them, and I can depress the release and just sort of pull back. These are really nice for getting into tight places with that. So I found that, you know, using these on electrical connectors as well as hoses works out pretty well. Last one. Yes. Okay. All the electrical connections are out. I'm actually going to go grab some plugs for these so that I can disconnect the transmission cooler lines. All right, I'm gonna disconnect the transmission lines, and I wasn't kidding when I said I was gonna get plugs. I'm gonna take these spark plugs and put them inside there so that they don't drain out while I'm performing the radiator replacement. Just sort of stick them in the ends there. It's really good if you can slide the clamps down. And I'm just gonna put these, I took these caps off the new radiator. I'm just gonna use those existing things. And I got another one here. And some of you, well, I always get asked when I do these radiator videos of how much transmission fluid is lost. If you do it like this, it's negligible. You're not gonna have to worry about it. Now, I'm going to loosen up the drain and then allow it to drain while we do our top end stuff. The radiator's not really draining all that quickly right now. The reason is because the radiator cap's still on. Watch down here while I take the radiator cap off. So this is what happens when I remove the radiator cap. That allows the atmospheric pressure to get down into the top of the radiator, and it will drain much better. So just a little tip, remove the radiator cap while you're draining the radiator. All right, one of the first things I'll do is get rid of the overflow tube. And that, I'll just come in here with pliers, pry it back, and it can rest over there comfortably. Now, if you have anything in your overflow, you definitely want to keep this above the level of the fluid, because if you put it down, it'll siphon everything out and it'll make a nice leak for you. Upper hose. And I take the larger channel locks and just sort of break it loose. Have my magnetic tray to keep the fasteners in. As you can see, these are considerably less rusty. Here. This is the main cooling fan. The larger one is, and the smaller one is normally the condenser fan. Hopefully, if we did everything right down there, we have a cooling fan. Ooh, cooling fan that might not be long for this world, if I'm honest. It's starting to go. I mean, it still spins and it still works, but I'm gonna have to keep an eye out for that, because it sounds like the bearing in here is starting to go. It's a relay, fan relay. This little bracket here for the overflow. If you worry about mixing your bolts up, the short ones hold on the brackets, the long one holds on the cooling fan. Last one holds on the condenser fan and a relay here at the top. All right, we have a couple more wire looms or connections to sort of get. Here's one here that I'm just gonna twist over. And what I've been doing with these, I'll show you here. I'll get this off and show you. What I've been doing with these is I'll just pinch the actual plastic connector, and that will allow it to break free from its connection. I got one more over here. And if it's not quite lined up the way you like it, just twist it till it is. Squeeze, pull, you're out. I just have to fight past this power steering hose. And there we have it. Condenser fan seems to be in good shape. That's good news. Now we're virtually looking at our prize. We've got some junk hanging around down here. But if we want to expedite the process of getting our coolant out, we'll just do this. I'm going to close the petcock up and move the catch pan over. With everything sort of out of the way, I'm just going to pull the lower radiator hose off. Since I've already broken it loose, that should come right off. And I guess we're mostly drained out because nothing really came out. It's just a couple of hold downs that's left here. Once again, rusty bolts, impact. And now it's just a matter of lifting it out. Be careful you don't catch on stuff, because it will want to catch on stuff. Now these have little tabs in the front for the condenser. There's a bunch of junk. There we go. There's still going to be some stuff in here. All right, let's get this over to the bench because we still got one more thing to take off of it. Still a couple things we got to swap over. One would be the lower mounts, but I'm actually not going to put these on the radiator itself. I'm actually going to put these in the vehicle. So they're going to go down right down here in these mounts. Personally, I think it's easier to try to get the radiator into them than to try to have them on the radiator and have them stay on. Next is, if memory serves, this is the fan switch here. This is what, when the coolant reaches a given temperature, this was what grounds out and turns the fans on. So we need to switch that over. Our new setup has this plug in place here that we need to remove. Simple enough. The sensor itself is 22 millimeter. There we go. Usually has an O-ring on it, which it looks like it's seen a better day. However, this O-ring looks way big. There's that. I'm not going to try to take the old one off until I've got some kind of, well, you know what? I'm going to try it. Small and as beat up as that's looking, I don't think it's going to hurt to try this, because it sort of fits in that groove anyway, and it was already in here anyway. Yeah, I'll give it a shot. See how it fits. This better not burn me. Just save this old one just in case. I hope I don't have to go back in there. But anytime you get an aftermarket radiator, it's always good to check to see if these are tight, because if they're not and they're loose, you could get a leak. That's tight. That is also tight. So, good idea to check. And I also checked the lower one. Yeah, it was slightly loose. And that was too. One last thing you want to make sure that's tight is the actual drain, because I've found these to be loose sometimes, and a leak comes up here after you do the install. So make sure everything's snug down here before you put it in, because as you saw, it's not easy to get down in here. And also, I'm going to go grab some fasteners to replace the ones that came out. I just grabbed some fasteners out of my bin there that I'm going to use to replace what I broke and the rusty ones that were underneath. Now it's a matter of fishing this thing down in here, and this is what's difficult about the Vigor, is these little plastic blocks that stick out. This is what gets you. They're on both sides. So you're having to fight with these going in and out. So if you're wondering why it won't come out, push it forward a little bit on the bottom or go in. Just be mindful of that as you're going in and out here. Once you get past a certain point, it kind of falls into place. And then you just got to make sure that your lower mounts go in. You can double check underneath if you need to. All right, now just to hold things in place, I'm going to position the upper mounts here. This helps keep it from flopping all over the place while you're working. We no longer need our catch pan. Be sure you dispose of your used antifreeze properly. I'm just going to reconnect the lower hose, but I'm not going to be able to do anything with the clamp until I've already got it down in there, until I'm underneath. Now I'm going to get the wiring and everything as much out of the way as I can. we'll start just the opposite of how we put it together, with the condenser fan first. And we could have, since these are slotted like this, put the fasteners in down at the bottom. But experience has taught me that that doesn't work out as well as you might think. Mainly because you're trying to fight it and get it down in there. It's just better to do it after the fact. And I'll show you what I do. Right. Fighting with this power steering line, that's just how it is. There's a relay that needs to come up, and it'll hook in right here. And that will hold that in place. And as long as I can reach it, I'm going to try to plug in the fan, just because I can actually get to it. You heard it click home. I'm going to just loosely put the upper fasteners in. That way it's held in place. You don't tighten them down yet. You wait till you get everything together. Remember, these are the shorter ones. Next, the cooling fan. And with this, once again, fight with the power steering line. Once you get it down past all that stuff, it's just gonna sit in there nicely. Once again, loosely put the top fasteners in. Right, now we're ready to hook things up underneath. I'm gonna start by reattaching the fasteners for the cooling fan. I've got a couple of longer ones that I'll use for the main cooling fan. I think that's going in. And I got another long one here. Let's just, okay, these center ones have this connection in. So I'm gonna plug my cooling fan in, which I'm sorry to say is gonna be extremely difficult for you to see while I do. There we go. Oh, crud. We forgot this relay. Thought something seemed weird. Oops. I forgot to hook up this relay, and it was underneath, but I just fished it up through. I clipped it into that clamp right there. And now that I've done that, I've undone this fastener, and I'm gonna run it back in. Don't forget the relay. While I'm at it, I'm gonna reconnect this transmission line, because it's actually part of those brackets that go in there. And so I don't forget, I'm gonna hit that clamp. I try to put clamps in the same place they were when I took them off. I try to. This just seems like the best way to do this, because other than that, it seems like a fight to try to get it into position. Almost home free. Last one on the end here, and this can be a short one. This one's going right in. Fantastic. Now I'm gonna run them all down. Okay, we've got one last transmission line to connect. I'm gonna get my special pliers to push that back down on there, because it had that weird clamp issue. I'll tighten that clamp and be done. Now I'm gonna plug that fan switch back in, and also pull the clamp down for the lower hose. I try to get it pretty much in the same spot it was before. Now let's go up top, tighten everything up, fill it up, and check it for leaks. Right, well, it's just a matter of tightening up these fasteners and hooking up the upper radiator hose again. Here's that little plastic cap for the power steering hose. This is actually here to keep the hood prop from rubbing on top of this, so don't lose this. Now I'm going to prep the system for bleeding. Use my trusty spill-free funnel. All right, this is something that often comes up. Eric, I don't have a bleeder valve on my system. What do I do? Well, I'm going to tell you, the bleeder valve makes filling the system easier. This is not what bleeds the air out. This just makes filling things faster. Remember when I took the radiator cap off and it started to drain out better? Same principle here. As I'm filling up the funnel, the air is going to have a place to escape. That's really what the bleeder valve does. It makes it easier to fill the system rather than it having going bloop, bloop, bloop as you fill it up. Still going to leave it there though, because I still want to be able to check for leaks, and I still have to put that lower cover back up there. These old Acuras just take green coolant. And this is already a 50-50 mix, I believe. This is not 50-50. This is 100%. This is 50-50. Or also 100%, it looks like. So I'm going to, give me a minute. This jug is already open. So I'm going to dump this whole jug in. And then I'm going to add a jug of water. This one wasn't all the way filled up. You see how that's going in there nicely? That's because of the bleeder valve. And actually when it's filled up, you'll be able to see it come out of the bleeder valve when it finally gets to the point where it's full. And so far, with just a quick check underneath for leaks, I'm not seeing anything dripping. That's a good sign. Now, you really shouldn't have shown me doing that because I used tap water to fill this up. The best thing to put in here would be distilled water. However, I already know that I'm going to be taking the coolant out again when I do stuff in the dashboard, so not too overly concerned. But either way, this is a $500 car. I'm okay with putting just regular tap water in. I've done it for a while. However, if you want the best of the best, go for distilled water. And now it's full. So now I'm done with the bleeder valve. Now that I've done that, I just tighten it up, and that's it. There'll be a link in the description to my video about bleeding cooling systems. Now we'll start it up and run it with the heat on full, but the fan off until the cooling fans come on. So to avoid asphyxiating me and the cameraman, I'm going to open the door and put the back end outside. Now we'll bring the RPMs up to about 2,500 RPM till the cooling fans come on. Well, okay, radiator replacement, 1993, Acura Vigor. We just finished bleeding the cooling system, topped it off, and no more leaks. Checked underneath to see if there was anything leaking, and it didn't appear that there was anything down there that was leaking, so I believe we're gonna pull it back in, put the lower cover back on, and call it done. Don't need to show you that, you saw how it came off. But that should wrap this up. Really important that you bleed the cooling system when you're done with a job like this. Once again, there'll be links in the description to any related videos to this one, any related articles, any useful information, perhaps even the radiator itself, to get you through tools, all that stuff. So check the description if you have any questions. Also, there will be a discussion about this video over at my website at EricTheCarGuy.com. Speaking of which, if you have automotive issues, I would ask that you head over to EricTheCarGuy.com. There's a welcome video there to tell you about all the amazing features that we have to help you with those automotive issues, should you have them. In addition to that, you can connect with me socially on Google+, Facebook, and Twitter. I post repair videos each and every Friday, and I also close each of my videos with be safe, have fun, and of course, stay dirty.